Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be experimenting with this VR a little bit more here, and we're going to attempt to do an IFR flight using just VR to sort of evaluate just how good the system works, as well as how successful we can be with it. So first things first, let's go ahead and get this thing going. I'm going to go ahead and contact clearance and go ahead and check what my IFR clearance is going to be today. I believe we're going to be at 8,000 feet.
64 IFR to Republic, ready to copy.
Red 64 is cleared to Republic Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 15 climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Departure frequency is 125.35 squawk 0707.
So now we're going to go ahead and call them back and let them know. Oh man, this is wishful thinking. I can barely see this. Even if I zoom in like this, it's like, forget it. One thing that X-Plane does have going for itself is the fact you've got that quick zoom where you can go and basically zoom way in like a laser on something to see it very, very clearly. This is one of the few days I'm actually going to have to ask nicely to go ahead and get some reversing help here. If I try to just go straight and turn around, there's just no way on earth I'm going to get this aircraft turned all the way around. For those of you who are curious where we are, we're here at Bradley International Airport. This is in lovely Connecticut. This is the middle of the winter for us, so unfortunately the weather is not terribly nice. So we're going to have to kind of deal with that once we get a little bit of airborne here. Got auto cells off. Let me go flip that on. It's really important that we leave that on. And we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and call up ground services here. I'm going to go ahead and nicely request that we get a pushback here. If they do not give us a pushback, we're going to go pushback to the left today. Fortunately, I can't do a power back. That's too bad. This is the one time I don't have to chop this guy up.
Broadly ground red 64 requesting pushback tuck.
I got to tell you, in VR, this is just so much more immersive. Like, I can actually see how tall that woman is when I'm looking at it. Now, that doesn't look good, but that's all right. All right, parking brake is released. Go ahead. I'm doing my things with the fingers here, but of course you can't see me. Let's go ahead and get everything else ready for takeoff here. Oh, geez, watch out for the propeller. Watch out for the... Well, interesting thing is in 2D... Oh my god, she'd be dead. Assuming it's a she, I can't tell here. You're in my front engine. Okie dokie then. Also, you wouldn't be able to talk to me if you... Oh. I guess she's taking a flight with us today. I like those glasses, though. Oh. Alright. This is a little disorienting. Usually I don't take airplanes backwards. Helicopters, sure, but not airplanes. Looking good, looking good. That's more than enough. Thank you.
Broadly ground red 64 requesting the end of pushback.
Alrighty.
Request to end pushback received.
Thank you. I'm doing the little wave thing here, but you can't see me. Alright, let's do it to it. Thanks, man. Alright, let's roll. So I chose the TBM for this because the TBM is just a really, really, really solid choice. Again, we're going down to FRG. That's Republic Airport. That's basically where all the rich people carry all their fancy Learjets and everything along those lines. I just figured that would make things a little bit easier for us today. Again, not too far of a flight. Let's go back to clearance here. We're going to request taxi IFR, which apparently you're supposed to ask for before you start taxiing.
Ready to taxi IFR.
We're just going to park here and pretend we didn't move.
Red 64
Ah, that's what I thought you were going to tell me. Notice they say via taxiway because we actually just need to go right here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge taxi clearance. Going to go click on the landing lights.
Short runway 15 via taxiway red 64.
Wow, that was a short walk, I got to admit. Not bad at all, not bad at all. Let's go ahead and request takeoff. Now, if you're really brave, you just kind of keep going. I crossed the line, and you guys did not give me the option to request takeoff here. Hey, there it is.
Broadly tower red 64 ready for IFR departure runway 15. Red 64 cleared for takeoff.
Wow, those buttons are impossible to read. All right, cleared for takeoff. What we got to do is try this with a VAT sim next time and see what happens. I love how in this version, if I put my mouse there, the mouse stays there. X-Plane does not do that. I really wish X-Plane would. All right, let's go ahead and line ourselves up. We've been cleared. Going to go hit the start timer button. Go ahead and push this up to 100% torque. And off we go. Listen to that angry turboprop. Checking power. We can use quite a bit more. Again, in the real aircraft, you can kind of feel it when you hit that sweet spot. In this one, yeah, you can't feel anything. You just got to go by ear. Go ahead, lift the nose up. And then it's always a little disorienting in VR. Sweet. You're up. And we are on our way once again. I'll wait until those lights. I love how you can just peek downwards now. You don't have to like go or like that or anything like that. Wait until that landing light goes out. Bring up that notch of flaps. And we are just going to go ahead and proceed on our course. Just a half a second or so, we're going to have to call them up and let them know that we're climbing through 700 feet. But we'll see what happens when we get to that particular point. Give ourselves a little bit of trim. Man, this joystick is gigantic. 12535 for Red 64.
125.35 for Red.
I know exactly where that baseball field is. That's so weird. Prior departure, Red 64 is at 1,300 for 8,000.
Climbing through 1,200 feet for 8,000 feet.
This is kind of weird, I'm not going to lie. Reminds me a lot of Google Earth VR.
Continue as planned. Altimeter tree 0.09er.
All right, we are on our way. Now, again, I was complaining earlier that they really need to fix the way that the turbines work on these aircraft. That's just not quite how that works, but I get why they did it the way they did it. It's a little bit simpler for people who don't fly with damage on, which unfortunately I do. All right, we are definitely on our way. Unfortunately, this is going to be an IFR flight today, so I have a feeling the weather is not going to cooperate most of this flight, which is unfortunate, but this aircraft can fly into known icing conditions. Okay, I'm going to go flip off my landing light. As I always joke, this is how you go blind. Flip that off real quick. And we're looking for about 140 knots. It's going to be a pretty quick climb speed for us. One thing I did notice is when you flip over to IFR, I should say VR mode, that it automatically takes your graphic settings down a couple notches. Like I'm looking at my little display there as far as altitude and airspeed goes, and I noticed that it's a little bit delayed. It's not like that when I normally fly. Looking pretty good. I need to swing to my left just a teeny tiny bit. Oh, we are already an iceberg. There we are. I expected to see some of that. Usually when you do that in the real plane, all the things get a little dim. Now, the neat thing is if you look really, really closely, you can actually watch the front end of the wing expand to break the ice. You'll also notice the ice that's actually on the wing itself is still stuck on the wing. Ah! Scary. All right, we're just going to continue climbing here. Don't have to worry about too much about any of the traffic. Again, we're under IFR conditions. Well, it's IMC, and we're going to be flying IFR, like I was saying earlier. I was really hoping to catch that thing pop back out again. Well. So the one thing I'm noticing doing this in IFR is it feels a lot more natural, even though I can't see the instruments like perfectly or anything like that. Again, it looks probably okay to you watching here on YouTube, but when I sit here kind of looking at it from me, it's definitely a little difficult to see what I'm doing here. Like the individual numbers don't mean anything to me, except for like my 140 knots and my 6,200 feet. Like that I can see fine, but like you want to ask me what my RPM is right now? Forget it. All right, gonna go swing around real quickly. Real nice. They should be handing us off to New York Center in a second. We're going to be outside of Bradley Approach's range. Done this flight in the real world. This is kind of a fun one. Usually when you go up to 8,000, though, you usually stick to about 4,000 or 6,000. All right, I'm pretty much right on target. I have not flipped on the automatic pilot because, remember, this is an exercise in seeing how easy it is in VR versus how it is in IFR. Or I should say in Pancake. Give myself a little bit of left trim there. Aircraft's flying fine, looking pretty good so far, looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and swing gently to my right here. The winds today are, from what I've read, are fairly strong, so I want to kind of watch out for that once I get a little bit closer. One thing that I did learn and I did take advantage of was the fact that you can change the default head height inside of your options menu under camera. This is one of those things where I'm very, very glad that I did it because I was struggling so bad to actually see over the actual windshield itself. Altitude hold on, navigation mode on. How we do? 8,000 feet. Perfect. Now that's how you're supposed to use the automatic pilot. You're basically supposed to flip it on when you get to the situation you need to use it and have it kind of hold on to things for you rather than fly the plane for you. Again, that's going to be a little different inside of an airliner than it's going to be inside a little turboprop like this. Ha! That's such a cool detail, the way that the sun gets distorted. Ha! That's so cool. All right, now we got a little bit of altitude. We're not flying in any clouds. I'm actually going to flip off the inertial separator. Taking a look at my wings here, all the ice that accumulated on the front looks like it broke up nicely. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cancel some of that off. And I'll leave these pitot controls on because, again, I don't want to get too much ice on there at this time. Okay, now this is the relaxing part of the flight. Honestly, it's the part of the flight that when you do learn to fly a real plane, you're going to find yourself not liking this part because basically all you're going to do is get yourself a nice handy-dandy book, or you're going to get your phone out or something like that. You're basically going to chill, kind of waiting for air traffic control to give you another call, because at this particular point, you just kind of go. I'm looking out. We have this will be East Hartford and Glastonbury right over my left wing here. Straight ahead on the right is going to be proper Hartford. Oh, I love the fact I can do this, but I know there's a wall right there. As you can hear, my voice change just a little bit as I bounce off the wall. I'm going to do the best I can not to face plant into the controller because I can't see it at the moment. And we're just going to play the what can I see game. Again, our destination, if you look where that cloud breaks, man, it's so nice getting between the cloud layers like this. Unfortunately, in the real world, it tends to be a little turbulent, so we're fairly lucky. I'm looking at the ice start to accumulate on the wingtips again. Again, it's not too bad. My windshield still looks pretty good. Usually the first time you know you've got ice is that you look right down here in the bottom left corner of your windshield, and you see yourself this little tiny smidge of gray. And that's how you know you got to start worrying about things, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather ahead of us here. Oh, apparently I accidentally pressed start and stop twice. Typical. Let's go flip on our weather radar real fast. Yee! Okay, let's go change it to the other mode here. Okay, that's actually not bad. It looks like we got a little bit of precipitation, but again, I don't think this is precipitation. I think this is just thick clouds. Looking out the window real quickly, if you take a look where my green band is right here, that looks like it's about, it says 2.5 nautical miles. I agree. Now, sometimes you can actually adjust the range. You can adjust the range. Look at that. I remember what I was doing. 2.5, 5 nautical miles, about 10 nautical miles out. Things look like they're getting a little bit more serious. There is a break in the cloud right over there where that little blinking white light is. You can probably see it right on the tip of my mouse. Just kind of taking a look real fast. Yeah, there it is. See where the cloud is really thick and then it kind of opens up a little bit? It's gone now. Let's go ahead and zoom out one more notch. And everything beyond that is going to be thick clouds. So things are going to get a little more exciting when we get over there. Let's go ahead and flip on to vertical mode. Boston Center, Red 64 is with you at 8,000 feet.
8,000 feet.
Whoa.
Land 64 Boston Center, continuous land. Altitude 0.008.
I love that. I'm good to go. Okay, going back to my little weather radar here, you can see that there's a pretty, this is level for us. You can see this dot. We're going to be hitting a really nasty spot in about 5 nautical miles. It's about a minute and a half away. And then there's a really nice open spot. So if we were much smarter, we'd actually request a descent a little.
Boston Center on 128.1.
128.1 for Red 64.
128.1 for Red 64.
Boston Center, Red 64 with you at 8,000 feet.
64, 8,000 feet.
All right, looking pretty good, looking pretty good. I'm actually going to request a descent because I noticed that I can get to this slightly smoother air right below us. It's about 1,000 feet below us. Maybe we can kind of get between. Let's try it out.
Boston Center, Red 64. Request 7,000 feet. Red 64.
Hey, there it is.
7,000.
Normally that wouldn't give you 7,000 because 7,000 would not be considered an IFR altitude here, but I'm going to take what I can get. About 1,000 feet per minute. That's about 800, but I'll take it. All right, we're going to try to wedge ourselves between that nice thinner area because I'm looking at my wing and it's getting a little nasty. I'm not going to lie. I'm not really thrilled with the fact that I can't really make out most of it. Fortunately, I'm noticing the windshield is not getting frosty, which is a good sign for us. And I'm also not seeing stuff fly off the propeller and hit our front windshield. That is terrifying when that happens in the real world. All right, you can already start to see as we start to descend that my green zone here is going to be slightly above me. There is a really big nasty yellow zone over. Sorry. Send maintain 7,000 for Red 64.
Maintain 7,000 feet. Red 64.
There we go. Okay, back to what I was saying. So basically, we're going to try to get into this whole area right here and kind of operate in that zone if we can. But it looks to me like it's actually a little bit lower than where we're sitting right here. I think we're going to have to go down even more. I'm guessing 6,000 feet. Again, it's probably like 6,422 feet or something like that.
Request 6,000 feet. Red 64 descend and maintain 6,000 feet.
6,000 for road 64.
Descend and maintain 6,000 feet. Red.
Trying to get underneath that nasty bit there. Vertical speed. Let's see what we got it. We said I'll do 1,000 feet per minute. That should be plenty. All right. Fingers crossed that we're going to manage to get inside the little hole there. Keep in mind that I don't have to worry too much because I can look over here at any time over my little left screen and I can see pretty clearly that I can get through this without too much concern. What I got to watch out for is things like my torque and stuff like that.
Center on 124.525.
124.525 for red 64.
Going to 124.5.
Of course, in the real world, what we'd have to do is we'd have to come down here. We'd have to open this up. We'd have to go flipping around. Boston Center red 64 is at 6,800, descending for 6,000.
6,600 feet. Descending 6.
Oh, 600, 600. I didn't even look.
Red 64 Boston Center, continue as planned. Altimeter 30.01.
Now make sure you update your altimeter as always. Looks like we're looking pretty good. And if you take a look, we've done a beautiful job of actually going between these two cloud layers quite nicely. And now we're actually going to proceed directly, and we're going to be landing at FRG in just a few minutes here. Zoom in real quick, see if I can read any of this. Looks like 4 minutes 41 to our next waypoint. I'm feeling pretty comfortable about this little situation with the radar here. One thing that you can actually do is you can come down here in the real one and push this button. You can actually change the details on here. Again, unfortunately, we don't have the buttons for that here, so we're going to have to kind of deal. But what you can do is you can swing down here, go to PFD mode, and you have a couple little details in here, like, for example, if I want to flip on the map. But for now, I'm going to leave on my weather radar. Yeah, look at this. I got some really good coverage. Let's go ahead and zoom in just a teeny tiny bit. Yeah, look at this. We're totally safe now. Nice. That's my... that's not looking so good. Let's go ahead and just snap off the ice. We don't need it. I'm going to leave on this one so we know that stuff is going on. It tends to be a very, very high amp load on an actual airplane, by the way, in case you're curious. And look at our weather radar. So in the real world, the weather radar would not tolerate that much ice because it would simply melt it off because it's so freaking hot. All right, we're going to be crossing Long Island Sound now. I'm just going to kind of look out my window. Everything's looking pretty clear so far. Just taking a little look. I can see one of the airports right there on my right. Taking a look on my left. Okay, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. We're going to be swinging into our final approach in just a moment here. 6,000 is looking really good. Thank God for that weather radar. We're actually able to dodge a bullet. I'm actually going to increase the range a little bit. Doot, doot, doot. Yeah, look at that. We are totally safe for the next, 20 nautical miles. Oh, thank God for this thing. All right, let's go ahead and flip it on real quick. I'm going to take a look at horizontal real fast. That's not so good. I don't think it actually opens up. Ooh, no, it does not. All right, we can also switch over to next rad mode, and now you can see where all the precipitation is. But again, I'm going to leave it in vertical because it's just easy enough for me to use. All right, looking pretty good. I'm going to check that wing again. I don't see any new ice accumulation, so I'm not worried about it too much. Some of you are probably saying, why don't you just leave the anti-icing on? The answer is you're actually correct. Let's go take a look real quickly. Everything's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Let's go take a look at my torque. Torque's looking pretty solid. We can actually come up on torque just a teeny tiny bit here. Taking a look at fuel quantity, it looks like I have 134 and 139. We need to spend more fuel out of the right-hand side. We are on the left tank. I'm going to reach my head above my button and go, boop. That should flip me over to the right tank, which it did. So we can start burning some fuel out of there before we do our approach. So our approach today is going to be an ILS approach. Taking a look at the weather that we've encountered so far, this is probably a good choice. When I practiced this one a few weeks ago, I actually did a little experiment and did this with an RNAV approach, and it was actually pretty comfortable all the way in, except, of course, when I tested that day, the real-world weather was 100% worse. Speaking of real-world weather, let's go ahead and listen to ATIS for our destination. Oh, they're not going to give it to us. So in the real world, I would highly recommend having the ATIS code somewhere stored so that you could just go ahead and call it up and actually check it before we get there. So now we're going to be at the mercy of whatever these air traffic controllers decide for us today. Checking to make sure everything looks good here. Yeah, we did a really nice job with the radar today. I'm kind of proud of that. Yeah, look at that. We've got a gap both above us and below us. And we'll be able to basically choo-choo without getting any more ice in the aircraft. Nope, doesn't look like we have any on the outside either. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Now I get to enjoy the interior of the aircraft just a teeny tiny bit. There's one of the oxygen masks right there. Those are the fun kind. If you've never actually seen one of those in action, you squeeze the two red tubes, and it'll actually, let me see, yeah, here it is. So you can't see my hand. But you'd squeeze the two tubes, and it opens up a little cord. You put the cord around your face, and you let go of the tubes, and it thunk, basically grabs you like a facehugger from Aliens, and it allows you to breathe in an emergency. In a hurry, you can do it 2-3 seconds tops.
Contact New York approach on 134.35.
134.35, 4, red 64.
3.4.
You don't have to actually say 4. That's a little old school, but that's okay. New York approach, red 64, with you at 6,000.
Feet. For New York approach, continue to be ELPT as planned. Altimeter tree, 0.04.
And that's it. Nice. So if you've never tried an air traffic control simulator, at some point you have to experience it. The reason I say this, of course, is you're going to learn a lot about the movement of aircraft in a way you've never seen before. You know, an aircraft like this little turboprop come rolling in on your scope there, you're like, oh, I've got all week to move this thing around any which way I need to move it. You know, and
Climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 14 approach. Flight break transition. Cleared to Frick.
red 64, 3 miles, climb 8,000, expect ILS 14 approach by the Frick, clear to Frick.
Public tower on 118.decimal.
Oh, I don't like that at all. They're going to ask us to go back up into the nastiness. Ugh. I'm not a fan. So here's how you get around that problem. What you do is you climb really, really slowly. And you hope they send you back down before you get in a bad spot here.
Tower on 118.8 red 64. Republic Tower red 6427 miles northeast. Bound ILS runway 14 approach.
Red 64 Republic Tower. Cleared ILS runway 14 approach. Altimeter tree 0.04 wind 06420.
Cleared ILS runway 14 approach. Red 64.
All right, we are now on the tower's controller. Unfortunately, our air track-on guy sent us back up to 8,000 feet, which is not what we want to do because that's going to be a little bit dangerous for us. So we're going to ignore instructions just a little bit. Or in the real world, we're going to call them and say, request 6,500, unable, or something along those lines, because, of course, we'll be flying into known icing conditions. So I'm actually going to go ahead and level this off right there, so I don't have to be too concerned with that. You can already see that extremely nasty cloud directly ahead of us that we're about to be flying into. We're going to make sure everything is ready to go before we hit that point. Our first point that we actually need to be hitting, called Frick. The nice thing here is I can actually pop down here to the flight plan, give it a second to load, and it actually gives you the individual heights that you can travel on. Let me zoom in. I don't know if that helps at all, but it's pretty tough to see. All right, belt, we should be at 5,650 feet. Frig, let's see here, 1,400 feet should be our altitude. Oh, geez. All right, I'm going to fly the approach correctly. Again, that air traffic control definitely needs some common sense checks built into it. But again, it's only as smart as you program it to be. We're going to go ahead and do a vertical speed, and we're going to come down at 500 feet per minute. I believe that was 5. Boop. There we go. Okay, let's start doing some calculations here. Alrighty, so we're 3 minutes away, I should say, from the Frick intersection. From the Frick intersection, we need to be at 1,400 feet. So we need to lose a total of about 4,000 feet, and we need to do it in 3 minutes. So that's going to be 2,000 feet per minute. So we're going to have to basically fall out of the sky here. Back up my throttle. And down we go. About to enter icing. Activate all anti-icing technology. Oh, you see it? You see it? Little bladders breathing. That's so cool. There they go. Right there, right there, right there. Beautiful. Okay, so everything seems to be working. Speed looks good. Remember, we need to be less than 250 knots. You can already see we're getting glide slope information. It's right here. Again, this will be an instrument landing system approach. We're going to fly through a really nasty cloud. We're going to get bounced around really, really bad, and it's going to be fun. Looking pretty good so far. Looking pretty good. Again, we want to stay less than 250 knots, but I want to get in and out of this ice as fast as possible. Oh, I hate this. But hey, y'all wanted to see what it looked like to do IFR and VR, so you're getting it. Excuse me for a second. I need a breath. Pure oxygen. Good stuff. Very relaxing. All right. I don't like the looks of that. I just had to pick a nasty day to fly, but hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's see, we are a minute 35 from our destination, and we need to lose another 2,000 feet, so we're actually going a little quick. But again, I want to try to get under this if I can. I'm actually going to increase my vertical speed just a teeny tiny bit to 1,500 feet per minute, push the throttle forward by about 1 millimeter, and that should keep us going about the same speed here. Go ahead and zoom in just a teeny tiny bit. Looks good right there. Looks good, looks good. Let's go ahead and check ADIS real fast. I wanted to do that earlier anyway.
Republic Airport information Kilo 18000 Zulu. Wind 064 at 20. Visibility 10 in heavy rain. Sky condition. Few clouds at 1,100 feet. Few clouds at 4,700 feet. Few clouds at 11,700.
All right, clouds, got it.
Temperature 2.10. Altimeter tree 0.04. Visual runway tree 2 in use. Landing and departing runway tree 2. IFR aircraft, say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller, on initial contact, you have Kilo.
Whew, that was a lot. Now, hopefully they didn't just call me back a minute ago and give me some kind of important instruction that I needed to follow or something like that. Ooh boy, we are like a fighter jet. Okay, so the key things we just got out of that little piece of ATIS information is the fact that it is a bit windy. We got a 15-knot wind today. That's going to make things a little bit interesting for us. The other interesting piece of information that she gave us just a moment ago was the fact that the clouds go down to 1,000 feet. What that means to us is our breakout altitude is going to be about 1,000 feet also. So that's definitely going to be interesting for us, but I'm not too concerned. This is not my first time to a bad weather rodeo. Just a little concerned about that ice because, oh boy, I'm going to stick my head out the window for a second. Yikes. All right, looking pretty good. I'm going to go swing us around. For those of you who have not had this experience, this is, it's something else. It's something else. Ooh, it's not looking so good on that wing. Maybe today was not the day to go flying. Doing this, by the way, in the Airbus. I'll have to try that a different week. I get the feeling that the Airbus is going to be a little hard on the frame rate to be comfortable. But the one I really want to see is the 787 on account of the fact that you get that heads-up display. And it's really cool when you take your head and move it back like this, the heads-up display gets bigger. That means they did it properly. We'll see how they actually did here. All right, we need to start thinking about landing this aircraft, so I'm immediately going to start reducing some speed as I start coming around this corner. So one thing about turboprops is they're not like piston engines where if you pull the throttle back, you feel like you're going to crack a cylinder. You're not going to do that on a turboprop. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I know exactly where that is. The ferry comes in right there. Cool. All right, swing around real quick. Notice there's actually an NDB approach that we could have used, but that's getting a little old school. All right, our approach speed in this aircraft is around 85 knots, and we're doing 183. I bet these neighbors absolutely hate us right now. Fortunately for us, as I'm noticing this really nasty weather here is kind of holding up pretty well, so I'm not too concerned with it. Now, what I'm more concerned with is the fact I haven't found the runway lights, but hey, that's what we're here for, right? All right, let's start preparing for landing. First thing we want to do is we'll shut off the yaw damper. You don't want to be fighting yaw during a landing. Of course, in the real plane, when you do that, you're going to get a little bit of this, but that's okay. All right, swinging around. Theoretically, our destination should be straight ahead. All right, all I have to do is reach over and bop the APP button whenever I am feeling comfortable with it, but I just want to reduce just a little bit of speed here before I do that. Bring in the throttle again. I'm going to hold it right about 120 knots. That looks pretty good here. I'm going to arm the approach. Approach mode on. Okay, there we go. And we'll go ahead and bring everything in just a minute once we're established. Usually our traffic control is going to call us in about 10 seconds to say, cleared landing, runway 14, whatever it's going to be. I don't like the fact I can't see out the front windshield. Flaps down. It's going to give me just a little bit better visibility here. There we go. All right, line ourselves up just a little bit. We've got a pretty serious crosswind going on here. I can definitely feel that. We're a little bit under our glide slope here, but that's all right. Use power just a teeny bit. And we're going to go ahead and put everything else down. Remember, you want 3 green lights, means they're not only down, but they're locked. We want 85 knots, 3 greens, check down. It should flash at us, check down. We are good to go. Inertial separator is on the on position. Everything is ready to go. We're going to be crossing an NDB in just a moment. If we were a little bit more aggressive, we could actually check with that NDB. And it is raining. Hopefully this does something with all that ice we've accumulated. All right, looking pretty good so far. Get my hand on the trigger. My particular aircraft, my particular controller here, this is a VKB gunfighter. My little trigger button, which would be for cannons, like if I was on like a Black Shark or something like that, that's my autopilot release button. It's definitely a handy button to have. And for those of you who have not installed themselves with a button for that on your joystick, you're asking for trouble. All right, stand by for our final approach down to our destination. Use power just a little bit. We've got 85 knots we're going for. Keep in mind we've accumulated a little bit of ice, so my 85 knots would probably look closer to 90 knots. If you take a look, I can see that my glide slope indicator is starting to slide downwards, which is exactly what we want. Notice we don't have anything for our glide path so far, so we want to kind of keep that in the back of our mind as well. Just a moment, we'll capture glide path. All right, looking pretty good, looking pretty good. Don't panic that you can't see anything. This is an IFR flight. All right, let's do our landing checks here.
14. 1054 at 14.
Clear to land on runway 14. See you in a minute.
Land runway 14 red 64.
Take a look right there. You can see we're just about to cross that line. This is actual today's weather, in case you're curious. All right, we're about to capture glide path. Looking good so far. Careful. Getting a little slow. Glide slope captured. All right, let's do it. Going down. Notice we just captured the outer marker. That's what that boop, boop sound is. So outer marker, middle marker, inner marker. All right, concentrate. Start doing your scan. All right, now that we're captured, we're going to start thinking about missed approach. I don't need to adjust heading to the right. I need to just center it. Oh, it doesn't have one of the push sync buttons. Bah, humbug. Oh, yes, it does. It's just trying to psych me out. Get out of there. All right, remember, we're expected to break out of the clouds at 1,000 feet. That's basically 0 feet from now. All right, one last check. This would be very embarrassing after a flight like this if we find out we forgot to put our landing gear down. Not being able to see the runway into the last possible second is about as typical as you could possibly imagine. I'm really appreciating the rain going sideways. For those of you who don't, who are probably going, hey, why don't you get your windshield wipers on? Let me show you why. Now you know. Not that I need them. All right, everybody get ready. I love real instrument conditions. It's different when you make simulated instrument conditions. Like, nothing quite works right. Like, there's always that one little thing that makes you go, whoopsies. All right, we're getting very close to minimums, believe it or not. I got 500 feet to go on my minimums. And then we're actually going to have to go around because we couldn't find the runway. And inside, oh boy, I don't like this. Oh, I don't like this at all. Got it. Landing. Whew, that was close. I was only 200 feet above my minimums there. Notice the nose of the plane is not pointing at the runway. It's because we have a pretty significant crosswind here. One last chime, Giphy. We have our gear down, inertial separators off, flaps are down, and yaw dampers off. Giphy complete. And look at that. That breakout altitude was much lower than they said it was going to be. But welcome to the real world where you have very little control over what the weather actually turns out to be. Go ahead and take over control. I've disabled the automatic pilot. Looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. I'm getting a little bit over glide slope there. Whoa! Nice turbulence. Right on. Again, this is just going to be a visual landing at this particular point. Looking good, looking good. I'm more interested in the numbers in the big white touchdown zone. Go ahead and reduce power just a little bit. Oh, look at how icy the runway is. Ugh. Power to 0. Keep in mind we're heavy. Nose up just a teeny tiny bit. And we carried way too much speed in. We are down. Nice. Whoa. Thrust reverser only. Don't hit the brakes because we're on ice. We're on ice. You got it. We are here. Welcome. All right, after takeoff, after landing checklist, bring up the flaps. Whenever you're working in a nice icy runway like this, be so gentle. Because the next thing you know, you're going to end up in the woods over there. Whoa, not being gentle. Not being gentle.
64 contact ground on 121.6.
121.6 for red 64.
121.6.
So now what you would do, of course, is you taxi over here like this. My aircraft actually lost a lot of ice on its way down, which makes me feel a little bit better. All right, looking pretty good. Okay, so hopefully this video was interesting for folks. I really enjoyed that. Like, there's something about that. Again, people who are watching this on YouTube, you probably have a pretty thorough headache at this point from like my head doing one of these things. But if anybody's ever actually tried VR, that's kind of what that's like. So this video is pretty solid. That was a good experience. You can see this weather is garbage, but like I said, I expect a really good Sunday for this because this is what it actually looks like out there. And you also have the opportunity to see what an instrument flight looks like in actual reality. Eventually what we'll do is we'll mix this in with some VATSIM and really stress ourselves out quite a bit. Other than that, enjoy.